Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off talking about Atari Jaguar emulation with BigPEmu, and BigPEmu just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, version 1.13 is the latest update. There's a number of fixes, improvements, and brand new features. For example, Rich has added in a brand new Direct3D12 video plugin. And there's a brand new ARM64 Windows build. And there's also a brand new Linux build. If you wanted to see the developer himself, Rich Whitehouse, talk about this update and demo it, I'll drop a link to his video in the description below, and I do recommend checking it out. Next up, we're quickly talking about RetroAchievements, and it appears that progress on the yet-to-be-released GameCube RetroAchievements seems to be coming along nicely. So this update's over on the Reddit page. I'll drop a link to it in the description below. There's a list of games here, and they say this isn't anywhere near the final launch list. It's just what's been done right now. I'm assuming it's going to be some time before we see these GameCube Retro Achievements. At this point in time, they've got a total of 49 games overall. The latest game they've completed is Tales of Symphonia, and they've also got Twilight Princess there. It's a pretty good list. I mean, the GameCube's got a pretty good library. Moving on, and it appears there's yet another Windows emulator on Android popping up, and this one is called WinEmu. It hasn't released yet. I haven't seen any footage of it, but they're claiming it runs faster than WinLater. So right now, WinLater, Box64 Droid, and Mobox seem to be the top dogs for Windows emulation on Android, with WinLater being the most popular. Interestingly, there's been a whole bunch of random Windows emulator apps spring up. Some are malicious, some are not, so I'd recommend just be careful. Next up, we're talking about PS3 emulation with RPCS3, and RPCS3 just got some new cool stuff. So first, there was an update that forces 720p config if the game does not support the selected resolution. For example, if you select 1080p and the game does not support it, it forces 720p. It allows to select other 1080 resolutions if the game supports 1080p. It allows to select interlaced modes, and it adds more available resolutions for the game to choose from depending on the setting. The second thing is called Allow USB PSP-CM Pass-Through. Basically, you can connect your PSP to your PC mid-game and RPCS3 will pick it up. For what it's worth, I haven't had a chance to test this feature out yet, but if you have, let me know in the comments below how it works for you. Next up, you don't see this every day, but allegedly a Super Famicom prototype is currently up for auction. Now, if we take a look here, we can see the red power switch. It's got a headphone jack on the side with a volume knob. And there's also the expansion slot on the front of this thing. If you are curious about this one, I'll drop a link to this page in the description below and feel free to check it out. There's currently 6 days left in the auction, and it's priced at $2,100. Would you be interested in this? How much do you think it's going to go for? Next up, I've got an update for you about Helldivers 2. Now, we talked about Helldivers 2 yesterday when Sony decided to create a massive controversy by requiring a PSN account to play the game. When this game launched, it did not require a PSN account. PSN accounts are not available worldwide and not available in some places where people have purchased Helldivers 2. Which means basically they've got a game they can no longer play. Now, since that announcement, this game has been hit hard with negative reviews. Right now, it's sitting at overwhelmingly negative and with a whole ton of them. It's now being reported that Helldivers 2 has the most negative reviews on Steam of any paid game on the platform. That is not looking good. As far as I know, Helldivers 2 has been delisted from, I think, over 170 countries. And on top of that, it appears that Steam is actually honoring refunds. This person has played the game for over 97 hours and refunded it. Moving on, and Tuxedo has just unveiled its next generation of Stellaris laptop. This is the Stellaris 17 Gen 6. It features a big 17-inch screen, big performance with an i9 processor. and also big price. So this is a Linux purpose-built laptop. It features the i9-14900HX, and you can get it with a GTX 4090. The keyboard has Cherry MX switches. The 17-inch display is clocked at 240 Hz. The base price with 16 gigs of RAM and an NVIDIA 4060 is €2,100. And if you decide to crank that up to an RTX 4090, it'll set you back almost €3,700. That is quite a lot of money. Mind you, the Stellaris is not the only Linux laptop you can get with the 4090 and the i9-14900HX, and a 17-inch screen at 240 Hz. System 76 also has the Denuvo WS with very similar specs and a very similar price. Next up, this is a quick one. Gearbox has just showcased some gameplay from their upcoming game called RKGK. It's a 3D platformer, and I'm not quite sure on what to make of this one just yet. It looks cool, but it also looks incredibly busy. It is up on Steam with a planned release date of May 22nd, so just around the corner. And speaking about trailers, next up we're talking about Crash Team Racing, the 60 FPS widescreen trailer. I'll drop a link to this in the description below in the event that you wanted to check it out. They say here 60 FPS is now fully playable combined with widescreen. This took 2 years, 3 videos, 600 plus changes to the source code, and over 1,000 hours of testing by 10 plus testers. All of the relevant information is in the description of that video, and they say it works with DuckStation at 60 frames per second. And last up here, we're talking about Denuvo, and it appears a Denuvo outage made Persona 5 Royal on PC completely unplayable for a number of hours. So if we take a look at the Steam charts, I think we can see exactly where this happens. This lets you know how many people are playing the game at the same time, and it jumps between, I don't know, about 25,000 all the way down to 5,000 or so, or even in the hundreds. And this little area here is, I think, where Denuvo went down. And on a side note, someone modded Doom into Persona 5 Royal. I'll drop a link to this video in the description below. And as a bonus piece of news, we're talking about something brand new. It's called Arctic Base, and this is a new way to play your collection of Nintendo 3DS games. And it's done by Pablo MK7, who used to work on Citra and still has a Citra fork. So Pablo MK7 says Arctic Base is a work-in-progress 3DS FOSS homebrew application. FOSS stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano, or free and open source. And it streams your own game's data and save file directly to Citra, allowing you to play them on your PC with many improvements over the original hardware. So he says play your games at higher resolutions, use external controllers that may better fit your playstyle, and switch between playing on your PC at home and resuming with the same save data on your 3DS on the go. He also says keep in mind that while using Arctic Base you will experience slower loading times as your 3DS needs to send data requested by the game to Citra. Arctic Base is not a game backup tool. It only acts as an intermediary between your 3DS and Citra. Arctic Base is currently in development, and Pablo MK7 has a 4.5-minute YouTube video showcasing it in action. I'll drop a link to it in the description below. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. Though one fluff is currently cuddling Mrs. Sujano. Let me know your thoughts about anything we talked about today in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos, don't tempt fate, save your state.